Everybody, what's happening? What's going on? Happy Sunday. Doing something that I don't typically do on a Sunday evening, but I was having a conversation the other day and I was asked about some of the sales training that I've done in the past. One particular sales training that I've done that was consistently requested, and that's about objection handling. All of us handle objection, right? We have, regardless of whether you are a parent, a CEO, a salesperson, doesn't matter. We all deal with some level of objection. And so my goal is just take you through a few awarenesses. I'm going to do this in a couple different parts. Each part is going to be, maybe 3 to 5 minutes or so. But you're certainly welcome to reach out to get more information. I even will send you the PDF version of the slide if you want it, because our goal is to help people be successful. And then Motivate Podcasts, it's our thought that you say less, but always believe for more. So let's get started. So the elementary of objection handling, and let me just share with you a couple of the key things that we'll be covering during this series. We'll be talking about number one, the difference between a stall, an objection, and a condition. What's the difference between a stall, an objection, and a condition? And the second thing we want to do is talk about the three techniques, different approaches. Now, the three techniques. The example that I use is leaning towards if you are in real estate, because probably 85% of the training that I've done in the past was for real estate sales professional, but my passion is for sales professionals, small business owners, and entrepreneurs. So all of us can learn something from it. The third thing, we're going to talk about the 7 awarenesses. I'm going to go through the 7 awarenesses. And then finally, the number one thing that helped my sales career soar when I was in this selling environment, and that was the objection handling track. So let's get started with this. I split the screen up here. Hopefully everyone can still see the screen okay. Um, Understand that there is an 80-20 rule. There's an 80-20 rule. And the 80-20 rule simply says that 80% of the results come from 20% of the work. 80% of the results come from 20% of the work. I was watching the program, the guy was talking about this principle, this 80-20 principle. And he said, if you look at your clothes that you wear in your closet, he said, we wear 20% of our clothes 80% of the time. So now that I've said that, I want you to think back over the past 2 weeks, your wardrobe, and you probably find something close to the fact that 20% of our wardrobe 80% of the time, right? So anyway, so let's move on. So until we get real good at handling objection, 5% is how much money we'll make. What does that mean? So let's pretend there are 5 people in a sales competing for sales, right? In any sales market, any business, about 80% of the wealth is generated by about 20% of the population, right? So let's take that. Let's take that. Let's take that and divide that into 5 people working, right? So you got 100%, you got 5 people. So we're going to break that down into 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, right? 20% segments. And so what we'll find is 80% of the people, if 20% of the people controlling 80% of the wealth, then what that means is that remaining 20% is being divided by 4 people. Right, so 4 people is 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%. I know it's quick math. I hope it makes sense. But the bottom line is this: until I get real good at handling objections, I'm only going to be getting 5% of the 20% that's left that 80% of people are competing for. I hope this is making sense. So let's look at this thing. Three keys to success. So the definition, the difference between a stall and objection is part of this process. Understanding the difference between a stall and objection in a selling. I want to think it over. What's our job? Our job is to find the real reason, right? To find out the real reason they don't feel like they need that they can move forward in the selling process. Conversation about um, things about the selling process that's not necessary. My job is to change the way that you feel. Rich, I appreciate your stop and pass. What you have to offer makes so much sense. But here's what I like to do. I want to think about it I want to think it over, right? Right. The most common, there's a training that I did not too long ago on the common reasons that people don't, or the common objections that you hear in the selling situation. And I want to think it over. It's one of the probably the most common one. I want to think it over. What's my job? My job is to change the way that they feel. Rich, I appreciate you stopping past. I appreciate you sharing this proposal. I appreciate you sending the idea. I appreciate you sharing this strategic plan on how to help our division or company. But we want to think it over before we move forward. What's my response? My response is, hey, I certainly understand you want to think it over. I mean, I understand the amount that I'm asking. It's a lot. And if I was in your situation, I want to think it over as well. I'm using language. I'm taking what they said and throwing it back at them and formatting in a way as so that they believe and think and feel like they're in control of this selling situation. Now, there's a psychology of sales. I want you to understand there is a psychology to selling. And the psychology of selling is this. So we have to prepare and present to the client, and the client will feel like they are in control of the selling conversation. But we are through our questionings. See, it's not a conversation as if there isn't dialogue. And I like the consultative approach. I'm asking questions. I certainly understand that you want to think it over. If I was in your position, I probably want to think it over. I am asking a fair amount of money from you and your organization for this product, this plan, etc. But just out of curiosity, right? Just out of curiosity, what is it that you need to think about? Now it's a little gutsy. I used to have this gutsy gauge, right? Gutsy gauge, 0 through 10, 0 through 10. And gutsy gauge, the more gutsier the question was, the more the needle will move to be in the 8 to 10 or the red area. See, if you're in a selling situation, as a parent, you're selling, as a CEO, you're selling, of course, as a salesperson, you're selling, everyone is selling. If you're a recruiter in an organization, you, my friend, are selling, everyone is selling. When it talks to engaging people and presenting ideas and proposals and expecting and encouraging and or influencing people to go to the next level. See, a definition of sales that I learned a long time ago is sales the ability to crystallize someone thinking for the good, right? Certainly understand, Mr. and Mrs. Blank, that you want to think it over. What is it that you want to think over? I want to change the way that they feel. They don't feel like they should make a decision today. My goal is to change the way that they feel. That's my only goal. And then sometimes there are conditions. What are conditions? Conditions should be handled in the investigation stage. If I'm selling real estate and a person wants to sell a house and I sit down and I meet with them and they say, oh, by the way, it's an estate sale and my siblings are heirs in this process or transaction. But that's a condition. We can't move forward till everyone is signing off. I meet with the director of HR. And the director of HR said, I appreciate your stop and pass, but we can't move forward until I get the CFO to sign off on it. It sounds good. It makes sense to me, but I need a CFO. And right now she isn't available. That's a condition, right? And that can should have been handled in the investigative stage. What's the investigative stage? I'm so glad you asked. The investigative stage is where we're doing our consultative selling. We're asking questions. How long have you been thinking about filling that vacant position? What would happen if you didn't fill that position today? Who else is affected by this position being open? You see what I'm saying? These are investigative questions. If I'm in real estate, how long have you been thinking about selling your house? Oh, okay, you've been thinking about it for 2 years. So what's your goal? What's your end goal? What if I don't sell your house in 90 days? What will that do to your plan? See, I'm asking investigative questions. And you'll find that if you ask open-ended questions, you have open-ended dialogue. If you ask open-ended questions, you will consistently have open-ended dialogue. And so this is the first technique, and I'll quickly go over this, and then we're done with our time for today. Don't worry, friend. I plan to complete this series, and if you want to be part of the notification on YouTube, all you have to do is just like, subscribe, follow, or send it or DM message us. The stall handling techniques. Now, I told you earlier, this is geared towards realtors selling a house. I call it the what is it technique. The what is it technique, right? On one side, if I'm listing a house, we're at the conversation. I've had this happen because my background is in real estate. I've had a Maryland license and a DC license, so I've been in and around real estate since 2002. I'm very comfortable with the process of selling and the process of selling real estate. So when I'm listing a house, I'm having a conversation. We're getting to the point where I need the seller to make a decision. The seller says, I want to think it over. Here's the first technique. What is it? What is it that you want to think over? Is it the price? And they say, oh no, Rich, we're okay with the $500,000 list price. Now you confirm what they say. So you're okay with me listing your house at $500,000? Yes, I am. Okay. Is it the net? Is it how much money you'll get after we sell your house in 90 days? No, I'm okay. So you're okay with netting $175,000 from the sale of your house? Yeah, I'm good with that. What is it? Is it the terms of the contract? See, what is it? Is it? I ask a question, they respond. I say, so you're okay, I'm confirming. Or is it the dates? I ask the questions, they respond, I confirm it. Is it just me? Now that's gutsy. Remember I told you earlier? Is it just me? Maybe it's my company, or maybe you're just unsure, right? On the buyer side, of course, you said, what if I'm selling staffing services? Oh, we appreciate you stopping past, Rich. Looks like your company really has figured it out. You really look like you have a pretty decent recruiting plan. I'm happy with it. But we're just not ready to move forward, right? So what is it? Is it the bill rate? Oh no, that's fine. So you're okay with the bill rate of $62.12 an hour? Yeah, we're okay with that. But is it the net? Is it what you save by hiring or working with us? Is it our terms, the terms of the service agreement? You see what I'm doing? What is it? Is it? What is it? See, when you handle objection, you got to find the real reason. A lot of times in selling situations, sales professionals, they handle an objection and it's not the objection and they don't get the deal in the end. I want to handle the objection. What's the reason that's preventing you from making a decision today? See, I've learned that never leave one step in the selling process without establishing the next step in the selling process. What? Say that again. Okay, I will. Never leave one level in the selling process with establishing the next step in the selling process. So even if we just not sure, we need to think over, I need the CFO to sign off on, I need to speak with the president, whatever it is, right? I'm saying, okay, I'm looking at my calendar now. When do you plan on having a conversation with the CEO? Okay, great. Why don't we do this? Why don't you and I plan a 15-minute phone call on Thursday? Does 10 a.m. work for you, or would 12 o'clock be better? See, that's that old alternate choice. That's that old alternate choice alternate choice close. Today at 2, tomorrow at 4. Today at 5, tomorrow at whatever, right? So the whole thing that I'm suggesting, friend, is that objection handling, it can be a very scary event when you don't have a process. You should always have a process, right? Always have a process on how you're going to be handling those objections. So I appreciate it, friend. This is Rich Wall Street Williams. This is another edition of Motivate Podcast. Motivate Podcast, we touch on many areas, and one of the areas we touch on is business development. So I hope that this information has been very helpful. Remember, say less, but always, always believe for more.